program manager at Griha and has supervised Griha implementation.
Sorry to cut you. Could you please change the move to the right? Yeah, sure.
Yes, so he has supervised Griha implementation in various projects across the country and has visited more than 700 projects. During his service with Griha Council, he organized multiple training workshops for more than 2,000 professionals and students. Along with many national and international conferences, he also presented the Griha case at UNFCCC Bonn, Germany, on recognition of Griha as India's own rating system. With his immense experience in the field of sustainability, he has published both print and online media and co-authored the book Zemst towards the delivery of zero energy mass custom homes. So without further ado, Mr. Akash Titare.
Thanks, Ashmita. I'm audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll just share the screen. Give me a sec. It's visible, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me for today's topic discussion, and it is an honor to have come here and actually discuss on the very basic query, which I think so both Shweta and ma'am has covered from the initial discussion, is sustainable, affordable, and that is majorly in most of our minds as a general public, because nowadays sustainable has somehow been linked to the commercial chain, and it has become non-affordable in most of the segments. So where that missing link is, that's what we are trying to do. And what I'll also do is we will discuss on the basic topic of sustainability and affordability, and instead of going into the rating details and all, which you can easily find out on the rating website and other things, what I have picked up is we have picked up some case studies, and as Shweta was mentioning, residential lacks that basic sustainability implementation. So I have interestingly picked up 3 residential projects, one office building and one general campus building, to showcase that sustainable is actually affordable, and sustainability is nothing but mere common sense, basically, which is lacking in. So common sense is very uncommon. That's what we use many other times. So without further ado, I will also keep on asking many questions, and I'll start my first slide with questions. So it is we'll try to make it as interactive as possible. Evening and hours, I know we all are wanting to go home and relax, basically. So we'll try to make it as interactive as possible in the online media discussion which we're having. So the first slide and my first question to all of us basically is why do we need buildings? You are more than welcome to reply, unmute yourself, or even reply through chat, so I can see both of these things, whatever your option is. Yeah, why do we need buildings? I'll keep it. So it's more of not me presenting, it's more of our interactions together. Anyone? We all use buildings, yes?
It gives us shelter.
It gives us shelter. Yes.
It's a basic need for a human being to survive.
I'll not say it's a basic need. I think so we can survive outside also. The only thing is it gives us shelter from basically climate, I'll say. So it's a shelter for us, it protects us from the climate and provide us comfort. That is the basic need of a building, right? Now when I say comfort, what is the basic comfort your building should give you?
Should have 4 walls and should protect us from the weather and climate outside.
Thermal comfort and...
Yeah. So
and
the first and foremost, it's all... this is we, and this is our building. So this building is protecting our body, basically. So first is the thermal comfort, cold, hot, rain, everything it should be comfortable in. Second is visual comfort. So
light,
dark, light, anything. Anything else your body needs to work or stay comfortably, other than extra comfort, the basic needs.
Yeah, air.
Yeah, so acoustical is the third one, and modern day times the issue is the air quality. So these are the major four comfort levels which your building should provide in general, right? Now, if your building is not doing this, there's something wrong in your building. Let alone sustainability, let alone building designs. If your building is not meeting these basic requirements, which is not fit to call the building, as we say, and not actually sustainable is the second part. If you do this sustainably, that's where we work with in tandem with nature and save cost. Now, when you talk about you must have seen this map multiple times, world map, sabne dekha hai, right? And is it okay I use apna Hindi language in between? English is fine with everyone, right? Hope nobody is only English.
Yeah.
So
No.
we have seen this map multiple times. Yes, India and the world.
Yeah.
I'll try to draw your attention to this. This is our Latlam where we are. Yes.
Yes.
Now the next question to you from me is, this is our Latlam. Can you try to pinpoint any specific countries which are developed in this Latlam? Leave Dubai. Dubai ka thoda oil ka scenario hai. Leave some parts of China. Try other parts. Try to find a developed country in this zone where we are.
Singapore.
Singapore and Malaysia, yes. So Asian cities, दो तीन छोड़ दीजिए, जो recent development में आए. Other than that, try to point anything. So when you have US, Canada, South America, South Africa, Europe as a whole, Russia, major China, even the Japan and everything is over there. You have. And then again, Malaysia, parts, Australia. Everything is either up or down, right? Interestingly, why I'm showing you this map is we are in such a belt where majorly the most undeveloped or developed countries, developing countries are there in this climate zone or in this segment of the world itself. Yes, but when we talk about anything which we are doing, we want to aid the West, the Western culture. Modernization, as such, the definition of modernization is most of the times linked with Western culture of us, basically. Anything which you want to do, West is the place to copy from, basically. And that's where we have lost the way. Why? We'll show this. So when we, this is India, basically, yes. Interestingly, we as Indians, we were sustainable, not just in buildings, but in food, but in clothing, but in everything which we used to do. We were our ancestral knowledge was always sustainable. It was local. It was relevant to its local. The buildings were relevant to the climate. The dress code was relevant to the local climate. The food was even relevant to the climate itself. Everything which we used to do, and people, we, especially before my age, and me also in some of the regions, the books we used to have 4 people, 4 generations using the same book. Clothes being used again and again, basically. All that was sustainability. It was nothing else. It was all sustainable. It was not that we were not having money. It was not that we were not having so-called, we were not educated enough. But that was what was sustainability was. To reuse systems, things again and again. Our food was sustainable. You have very hot food in Rajasthan, so that you sweat a lot, so that automatically you get cooler with the sweat and the air blowing around, hot air blowing around. In coastal regions, you eat much more rice. That was sustainable. This everything was sustainable. Where we went wrong? Okay, let's see. So not just our food, our dress codes were sustainable. So every city has its own dress code as per their climate. Even our buildings were sustainable. I think so. In first presentation, Shweta was showing the trend of sustainability in our country. And interestingly, it starts from building energy efficiency. That is the backtrack of sustainability. Initially, we were always sustainable. Our all old houses, our all villages, and villages are still sustainable. What we are trying to make them sustainable for? They were sustainable. They are sustainable. What problem is that they are trying to aid the cities now, which we have urban centers, which are again unsustainable. Everything was sustainable. Where it went all wrong, but now we are developing, and that's where this challenge of sustainability has come in. How? You want to see? So, dress code. We have uniform clothes for everyone. We are developing now. Each one has their own basically traveling equipment. Everybody is in the same cars. Everybody looks same. So we have uniform transport, uniform cars. Even the language has become same. So English has become the global language, and the commercial angle has become the automatically speaking language for everyone. Wherever you go, doesn't matter, uniform language. The food has also become uniform. सबको पिज़्ज़ा खाना है, सबको बर्गर खाना है, सबको चाइनीज खाना है. Uniform diets. And at the end of the day, buildings become uniform. Take Delhi NCR, Mumbai, no difference at all. Delhi is a hot and dry climate. You have Mumbai as a coastal region, but buildings exactly the same. Calcutta le lijiye. And just keep on browsing Bangalore, every city, and even the tier 3 cities are following the same trend. Tier 2 and tier 3 cities are following the same trends. They want a modern, so-called modern building, so-called modern architecture, aiming from the West. Everything, all across, actually you can take one project and put it in Delhi, Calcutta, Mumbai, Chennai, Gujarat, everywhere. It looks exactly the same. It works exactly the same as per the current architecture, and that's where the problem remains. Let alone building, our cities have become uniform. We use so we do training with students, and we used to play spot the tree, ढूंढो tree. ये गुड़गांव है हमारा. पीतमपुरा, दिल्ली, सब cities एक जैसी दिखती हैं. No matter what they are. Ambedkar Nagar, Bangalore. Uniform cities. Even our cities have become uniform across the country. So what is the problem? This is the problem. Sustainability cannot be done on Control C and Control V. The two favorite keys on your laptops are keyboards and mouse, basically. Students and nowadays education system are also gone on the same verge. Any problem is given, Google C, Google, Wikipedia, search the problem, there's a solution, Control C, Control V, work done. This is neither cool, this is not sustainable. If you want to become sustainable, it has to be local, it has to be Indianized, it has to be, each city has its own culture, each city has its own language. What is wrong in the current process? This is wrong in the current process. जो सबसे ज्यादा होना चाहिए था, जहां इन्वेस्टमेंट सबसे ज्यादा होना चाहिए, both time and cost, वो सबसे कम है. So डिजाइन कल चाहिए थी, कॉस्ट इतना ही है. अच्छा मार्केटिंग का we have so much funds, कंस्ट्रक्शन ठीक है, ऑपरेशन ठीक है, और मेंटेनेंस ऑटोमेटिकली कॉस्ट बढ़ जाती है जाते जाते. So what is wrong? So current buildings require more and gives you less. What is wrong? Just one single step. And there are, and I was told that many of us are architects and building engineers, so that is this slide becomes very interesting. So this is where the challenge is. We have a mindset sustainability is costly. अगर sustainability costly होती तो हमारे ancestors कुछ कर ही नहीं पाते. Sustainability कभी costly थी नहीं. Sustainability means I am not costly. What is making it costly is our decisions. Our wrong choices at wrong time is making a project unsustainable. So where does GRIHA comes in? GRIHA as a rating body evaluates your greenness of a project throughout the whole process of life. Now sustainability, when you say you want to be sustainable, I want to be sustainable, I cannot say, okay, आज मेरा मन है sustainable रहने का, कल से I don't want to be sustainable at all. Atanushri, just you want to ask? Sure. Go ahead, shoot.
Please, sorry. Hi. No, please complete your point, then I'll ask.
Okay, no issues. So what I was saying, GRIHA basically evaluates the sustainability throughout the life cycle of project. So you want to be sustainable, I can't say कि मेरा आज मन है, कल से मेरा sustainable होने का मन नहीं है, या कल से करूँगा, आज मेरा मन नहीं है. Sustainability is a life cycle process. It's not an end product. It's not a winning product. It becomes the process, and that's what is wrong with current system. We try to evaluate the end product. Building sustainable hai ki nahi hai. It is not possible. Until as the process becomes sustainable, the land project will never be sustainable. And that's what makes And that's what we try to push in the whole process. Make your process sustainable, end product will be sustainable. But that cannot be said exactly the same for the other process. कि building sustainable है तो process भी sustainable होगा. और वहीं पे challenge आ जाता है. Please continue. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, hi. So sorry, thank you for the presentation that you've been giving. My question was more about, like you rightly mentioned, it's the life cycle. Somewhere are we confusing liberalization and, diversity? I completely understand that plans should not be copied from, it's like importing problems. You ape the West and the problems the West has. You
bring the problems and then look for solutions.
Yeah, so I absolutely agree that's different, but I think that one of the reasons why probably we were sustainable is because we realize that sustainability means something is perishable. The moment it is perishable, I think that is one of the apart from all the things that you mentioned, on a very basic level, when we look at even low cost housing, we look at every other thing. Whatever was sustainable in our country and so-called society or whatever was perishable. We had to let it go. Something that finishes ends, and then a new cycle begins. That is what I think that somewhere, obviously, because we're moving in cities and we're looking at something which is permanent. I think that is where there's a very big challenge of perishable versus something which is permanent, which is what I would really like to see how we can address something like that. Completely.
And interestingly put that when we talk about change, and that's what sustainability means, change is very important, and we all are changing. And we look, we don't want to change. That's one of the major issues also. But change is nature. That's what it says, right? Interestingly, when we talk about sustainability, what happens is not every change becomes हम जो adopt कर रहे हैं या हम जो adopt करना चाहते हैं या what we are trying to see. The problem with the globalization of the current world is that there is lots of information, but the knowledge is not known. And that's what we face the challenge. The WhatsApp, the info groups, the Google, everything is now on platter. But वो कौन बताएगा कि इसमें से सही क्या है? There is nobody to tell you that. And that's where the current education system has a challenge. The current whole process becomes challenged. You have all that information at your platter. And then you have to decide on your wits and families. अगर वो तो मुझे पता होता तो वो पहले ही मैं decide कर चुका होता, right? You have that much gambit of information. Now, how do I know what is correct? All information is there in front of me because of the globalization of the world. But then there has to be someone, there has to be some way to decide what is correct for me. Either my ancestors have good, that's what we say, that experience helps us, right? That experience has to be from somewhere. And that's what, interestingly, I'm not going into the details of the rating requirements or how it is done and all those things. I'll get to how people have done it. Case studies of people, both residential, commercial, and campus sectors, that it is that simple. Sustainability is the simplest thing which can be done. But we should be open to do simple things. We want complexities in our life. We are looking for complexities. That's the challenge. Anyways, sorry for that flow of basic discussion. Anyways, so Griha basically, as informed earlier, is developed by TERI, the Energy and Resource Institute, and adopted by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy in 2007 as the green building rating system for our country. The very basic principle on what Griha was developed is what gets measured gets managed, and this is not a so Griha ka anyways ऐसे कुछ नहीं है. So Griha, this is a basic management principle. If you want to manage anything, time, human resource, anything, it has to be measured. As simple as that. If you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. बहुत कम ज़्यादा, nobody knows what is बहुत कम and what is बहुत ज़्यादा. So what Griha says is, there are lots of ways of doing things. Yes, there are lots of bylaws in our country. Yes, problem is nobody knows ये सारी कुछ चीजें हैं. कैसे करना है हर चीज को? Everybody cannot be aware of everything. That's the problem. So what Griha does is Griha brings everything together in one platform. Do Griha, and automatically you are compliant with all the regulatory bodies. You are automatically compliant with basic requirements of all systems. चाहे वो planning का हो, चाहे वो water का हो, चाहे वो energy का हो, or social, anything it can be basically. Right? So it's the right effort what we are looking into, not the extra effort. ज़्यादा काम करना अच्छा नहीं होता. पर सही काम करना important है. Your choices, and that's why I said choices are very important what you make, and that's what make your building sustainable. So in general, in a project you have 4 stages: design, construction, operation, maintenance. Griha evaluates the whole process. Why this becomes important? I know Griha process is long. Obviously, the life is long of a building, and that's why sustainability becomes important. Why this is important? Okay, as an architect, I have done my duty well. I have made a very sustainable design. It's a building which do not depend on majorly on air conditioning systems. It's a well-ventilated building which we have. But during construction, there are lots of wastages happening. The construction management was totally mismanaged. At the end of the day, project cost increased because there was lots of mismanagement on construction site. Material waste hua, mismanaged hua, all those things basically. So the project is not sustainable. Design bahut achhe se hua. Construction was also very well taken care of. But at the end of the day, when it went for operation maintenance, I was not aware of how to maintain the building. So at the end of the day, I will get huge bills, I'll get huge water bills, and I'll generate lots of waste. So the intent transfer, the design transfer to the user doesn't happen. And that's why that also becomes unsustainable. Now, feel as an architect, if the base itself is missing, मैंने कांच का डब्बा उठा के लगा दिया, I have a glass box which I have put in over there, which in a hot and dry climate logically will never work. Whatever efforts the construction team or the operation team might do, they will not be able to make it sustainable. It is literally not possible. So that's why I said process becomes very important. The way how you are proceeding to the end result, that is what is important, not the end result. Automatically end result will be sustainable. And that's why we have evaluated your life process of a building. We make multiple buildings. So you make residential, you make commercial, office, bank, dhaba, everything. Which now what happens is when you talk about sustainability in a built environment, my strategy is to adopt to these scales of building or typologies of building are again as per the size of it, not the type of it. Type of it, okay, back-end calculations hai, hoti rahegi. But when I have a small scale site, I have other strategies to play around. I have a medium scale project, I have strategies to play around in design, landscaping and everything. And when I have a large campus, I have totally different strategies. So what Griha has done is basically, okay, you make n number of buildings, I can't make n number of ratings for you basically in the end of the day. So what we have done is, buildings can be of 2 types, new or existing. Now when you talk about new, there are 3 scales which you are divided into, and one has a special case under the Pradhan Mantri Abhyas Yojana. One is a Swagriha, which is a small scale rating, simple, versatile, affordable Griha. Now the intent of this first rating itself is that on a small scale project, your house, my house, any small office which is less than 25 square meters, you do not need a consultant. You yourself go put your details in the tool. It will suggest you what you should do as per your climate zone and make your building much more sustainable. So it's a design come rating tool evaluates. So Griha itself. Now Griha being the major scale, it is for everything which is about 25 square meters of built up area. And then we have the Griha for large development. This is anything which is above 50 hectares of site area. Now this rating evaluates your impact. Now these big sites come up for 15 years, 20 years down the line. Now is your planning taken care of after 50 years, after 20 years, your whole campus will be sustainable? So that is what it evaluates. Now interestingly, you'll be amazed to know, and I'll leave, at the end I'll share the link for you all guys to go and watch that video. It's on YouTube itself. You have the first dhaba to get rated in the Swagriha. A basic dhaba can also be evaluated. So anything which you're building, it's on, if anybody is staying towards Moradabad highway, there's something called Tadka Dhaba, and a very interesting place to go and eat food. So the basic environment you live in, you sit there, the food production, everything is sustainable. So there are many projects which have shown that actually sustainability is not, sustainability is equal to affordable basically. Other than these 3, anything you build can go under these 3 scale. Other than this, there was a Government of India request that we need a specific rating for affordable housing under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So there was a specific rating developed for affordable housing segment under PMAY, and as well as the RBI requirements of affordable housing. So if you're making a building which meets the RBI requirement and the PMAY compliances, you can go for affordable housing. Other than that, if you're making any building, residential also, it goes under the top 3 ratings itself. The existing building is very simple. You have one rating which caters to all the types of typologies within the existing building rating system itself. And the last one becomes the most interesting one and the most innovative one which is there. And this you will not find across the world, I'll say. This is Griha for existing day schools. Now this rating system is basically for day schools. And in this rating system, what the intent is that this rating system will be, this rating will be taken by the school students for their own schools during their school time itself. So you don't want an architect, you don't want an engineer, you don't want a consultant for this building to get rated. What we do is we work with the students in the school and educate them what true sustainability is. AC lagana, high-end glass lagana, 5-star AC lagana, that is not true sustainability. True sustainability, why this is important? Because currently, हम जब sustainability करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, so we are trying to educate the clients who are not aware of sustainability at all. Our developers ले लीजिए, our users ले लीजिए. Until unless, and interestingly, those people who have followed the education system outside the country also, not copying the system, but students, school students need to be aware of sustainability because they are the future of our country, and that's what we are doing. Everything is being done for them. If they are not aware of sustainability at that time, बाद में तो किसी के पास सीखने का time होता ही नहीं है. So this rating has become one of the most innovative ones which is there, and we work with school students and try to educate them, and people who have kids basically are aware कि एक बार स्कूल में अगर टीचर ने कुछ बोल दिया तो घर में कुछ भी बोलते रहो, मम्मी पापा भी कुछ नहीं उनके सामने, because teachers are God in journey, right? So the intent is to embed it, to make sure that the students, school students, at that age you understand sustainability at the basic building level itself. So whenever, even if you become an IPS, an IFS, commercial building owner, and anything, you are aware of these basic grassroots levels of sustainability requirements. And then you have Griha Cities, that is an overarching policy and implementation evaluation tool. Griha has multiple recognitions, so I'll not go into the recent ones and the most old ones. And as Shweta was saying, Griha was made mandatory in 2009 for all central government buildings to get a minimum 3-star Griha rating. Other than that, some of the states have also adopted it as a mandate for taking Griha rating, basically. So, but mandate in a country, we all know what does that mean. Mandate is a mandate, but how many mandate do we follow? Also, we also are aware, chahe wo traffic rules ho, chahe any other rules also. So it takes time in our country, being a democratic one, that things it's easier to put it in policy. One of the challenges our country faces, the population and the population issue, is that implementing the policy is the hardest one to crack, basically. And that's what we are trying to work out. Nothing more about Griha, rightly taking you to the state case studies which are there. Very interesting ones, and first 3 ones are from the residential segment itself, in which I'll try to show what important roles the 3 stakeholders have. The first one is from Rajkot. It's a smart ghar, basically done by Rajkot Municipal Corporation, and in this a role of architect, how important the role of architect becomes when design becomes very important, basically, how the design can change everything. Second one is how important the users are as a developer, as a RWA, as a user, what all we can do when we are living in our society. Everything is not developer's responsibility, everything is not government's responsibility, how RWA becomes very important. This comes from Pune, Utsvile area. And the last one also comes from Pune region, and here, how as a developer, which majorly looks for commercial value in everything which we do. So the last case study basically gives you an idea of how sustainability has a commercial value at the end of the day. These are all 3 residential cases, especially picked because people think that the residential mein zyada sustainability ho nahi pati, and that's why I picked especially these 3 case studies for today. Starting with the Rajkot one, very interesting project. So when we talk about cross ventilation, national ventilation, hona chahiye, all bedrooms, all flats which we now build and now stay in. And interestingly, when we talk about cross ventilation facility or facade which has been given to us, all bedrooms across the country have one window, one door, and that's the end of cross ventilation. in the modern flat design which we have basically. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. The modern day design of flats are, you have a window which is outside, which we have very good view, very good, and then you have a door at the end of the day. That's the amount of cross ventilation design, the choice which we have given a user, that you have one window and one door. Now nowadays most of the things goes above 5 or 6 stories. So interestingly, if you are staying above 6th floor in any city, the moment you start opening these windows, you will feel everything is coming onto your face, the whole wind pressure coming onto the face. Even if the outside climate is very good and it's just rain, it's very ambient weather outside, I can't open the window because of the wind pressure, because the design which I have done only enables me to close the window and use the room for daylighting. Yes. A very interesting example, what we used to use in our original old architecture basically, and what they have tried is they have tried to better the design as much as possible. These being affordable housing scheme basically, and this becomes very important because I have seen multiple affordable housing schemes built with Mayan Technologies. Mayan, I hope people are aware of Mayan Technology. It's all basically an RCC box because of fast construction. Everything is made of RCC. There are no walls, brick walls or AC blocks. Everything is RCC. And when we talk about RCC, RCC has huge specific heat, high heat absorption coefficient, and that we are making as affordable housing. Okay, इसमें मैंने window निकाल दी है. Use this as affordable housing and put an AC in it. Put a comfortability. I don't know how to achieve it. So very interesting example. This was these are around 13 smart car campuses which they are building, and these are the initial 4 or 5 design changes which they have done. If you see, the introduction of ventilation came back into this design. Now what happens is in this, it was a lowered ventilation, but with that, because of mosquitoes and issues with other say you can say the insects coming into place, so this design got a bit altered in the next design. Basically what they did was they started using a sliding ventilator on top. Basically ventilator हमारे design से तो गायब हो चुका है apartments का, but yes, they have tried to use it again back in their affordable housing design. But इसके साथ एक और problem थी, इसको operate बार-बार करने के लिए, even if you, and that's the same thing which happens in our bedrooms. If you have nowadays everybody has a slider window, the whole door frame. Door and window is common nowadays in most of the flats which we design in the modern day times. So इसको थोड़ा सा भी खोलते हैं, again the wind speed is huge, and I can't, and the rain comes in and the water comes in, everything comes in from this opening which we have. So then what they did is they went ahead and did a very interesting design. What they did was, instead of having a slider window or slider ventilator, they went for a top hung ventilator. Now what it does is it gives you multiple benefits. Very simple design change. One, it acts as a sunshade, it acts as a shade for rain coming in, so there will be no water coming in if even it's raining outside. First thing. Second, you have the option of modulating the wind speed wherever possible. If through this opening the wind is gushing in a high speed, I have an option. Okay, I can reduce the opening and make sure the wind velocity reduces as much as possible. So you have given that control, that choice to the user. Okay, if you want to use your space for natural ventilation, you have that choice. Current design doesn't give that choice to us. Interestingly, what they did was other things which other than, so if you see the design plan, what they have done. Now the ventilators which I was showing you, it was both given in the doors and the windows in the balcony over there. And what they have done is this is a one BHK house with a utility and one bath and one WC. This one duct is common between 2 flats, and what they have done is they have done something called forced ventilation on top of this duct. So what it does is now one fan on top, what it helps is one, each flat owner cost is reduced for putting an exhaust fan into WC in the bath area. एक ऊपर fan लगाने से क्या हो गया? All 7 stories or 10 stories, every user 2 exhaust fan cost is reduced. Very good. Now other thing what it does is, okay, it creates a negative pressure in the utility duct itself. So what it does, it creates a negative pressure in the bathroom and WC. So there was always a negative pressure from the bathroom towards the utility duct. So always जो smell का problem आता है वो नहीं आएगा, क्योंकि one of the major issue with affordable housing is it is not properly cross ventilated, and there's a chances of bathroom and WC smell coming into the living in the kitchen areas. So there will always be a negative pressure on that duct basically, and the smell will not go back into the living space. Further, what it does is it creates a negative pressure in the drawing room and in the kitchen area. So even if you are not there in the campus, in the room which you are using, what it will try to create is negative suction of wind through these leakages of air which happens in these windows and the ventilators which are created, making sure that automatically this space has some cross ventilation facilitation through this negative pressure basically. Further, what they have done is, interestingly, there are multiple other design interesting strategies which they have tried to implement, and these are working very interestingly if you go and visit these sites as a whole. So sustainability in the design is very less. As we say, sustainability is costly. Somebody was telling there's an increase in cost and there's a 7 to 8 years payback. It only happens because we have made it a wrong choice. A very basic example. First, we make a glass building, high-end glass. Glare nahi aana chahiye, heat nahi aana chahiye. So I make a low-E glass installed in my building, which is a very huge cost to me. Then what I do is I put a curtain in it because other than some time in north, south, east, west, I have not given any shading. It's a glass box. So direct sun will automatically come into the living space and it will have glare. Because it's a direct sun which is coming in, heat तो दूर की बात है वो भी automatically आएगी. अब glare आएगा तो I can't work in my glare in that space. So at the end of the day, I need to put curtain also. So first you invest in glass, then you invest in curtain, and then at the end of the day, आपने window क्यों बनाई थी? हमने window क्यों बनाई थी? It was basically for two reasons: daylight and cross ventilation. AC building cross ventilation तो anyways out of the window. Daylight, because you have not taken off glare, automatically curtain is done, zero daylight. And then when we put on the lights, and what happens with the glass? Glass has much more heat gaining capacities. So heat gain once happened, HVAC load increase automatically. अब अगर हम choices ही गलत लेंगे तो sustainability नहीं कैसे होगी? Interestingly, we go to students and try to teach them a very old code which is there as SP41. I myself was not aware until I have joined Griha that ऐसा भी कोई code हुआ करता मुझे किसी ने. I'm also an architect and urban planner, so we were also not taught this code. And interestingly, that code has very interesting two tables. That's called table 9 and 10. The architects will be easily relate to shading design जो हमें schools, colleges में पढ़ाते हैं. HSA निकालो, VSA निकालो. And sorry for that complicated technical word for those who are not from this background, but that table, I think so this code is from 1980s or something. That code, or uske baad bhi we don't have a guarantee that window will either have direct sun or not in winters or in summers. That code gives you, okay, you have 8 directions. I can make a window in the 8 directions, 4 cardinal and 4 mid directions in general. And it gives you an option of both boxing window, vertical louvers, horizontal chhajja, vertical louvers, and a mix of it, and with an angle. It gives you a guarantee if you choose this angle and this size at this angle of shading, whether vertical or horizontal. It gives you a guarantee that your window will not get direct sun in summers and it will get direct sun in winters. I doubt either HSA or VSA में detail में कोई guarantee भी दे सकता है basically. And that code is not taught in any architecture college. And it's very basic, simple multiplication and division, but it is not taught. And that's what we try to go and teach to students. Sustainability is very simple. It is not that complicated. We should stop it making it complicated. Another example, very good, and how as a user we can make difference. Basically, developer ने जो करके दिया अच्छी बात है. नहीं करके दिया as a user what it makes, what we can do. Now, in general, 2 BHK flat, anybody of us also pays 5 to 8K maintenance cost, electricity and all maintenance costs included. That's what they used to pay. Currently, now they have reduced the cost to it by some measures, how we'll discuss, to 3 to 5K per flat. And they have a 2030 target of reducing it to 0 to 1K per flat. Let's see how. This solar PVs were not given by a developer. They have themselves saved the maintenance cost and installed, went ahead and installed these solar PVs. Developer gave them hot solar, hot water on the site basically. This is one of the most detailed data collection I've seen across let alone government buildings, private buildings, commercial buildings. This is one of the most detailed systems which they keep in place in their society. And they have very interesting ways of highlighting people who don't want to listen. So what they do is every month they have a energy bill and a water bill list, which is being pasted in the central lobby on all floors, highlighting specifically in red and green 2 or 3 people who have either used lots of energy and lots of water, and they have people who have actually saved lots of energy and saved a good amount of energy and water, basically, to make sure people become starting to realize that everything is our responsibility. Nobody else will come and save us until we ourselves act upon. This is the first society where I have seen from their end, they have started collecting rainwater and reusing within the whole campus as domestic source. तो वो अपना डोमेस्टिक जो आपका पीने का पानी है उसमें रेन वाटर स्टोर करते हैं and they are done by themselves and used it within the whole campus. I have not seen it in other projects, residential projects across the country. They have gone ahead and changed the low flow fixtures with maintenance clause into it कि हर एक हफ्ते बाद एक बंदा जाता है लो फ्लो फिक्सचर निकाल के साफ करता है कि उसमें मिट्टी फंस जाती है. अदरवाइज वी हैव द टेंडेंसी ऑफ opening it and keeping it at site, basically. कौन यूज करेगा? This is the first society which we have seen which has gone ahead and installed individual flat-wise water meters. I have not seen any. I doubt you as architect or environmental engineer have seen any water meters in place. Water का तो वैसी बुरा हाल है हमारी country में. It is the one of the resources which is most neglected across the sector. But these people have gone ahead and installed water meters in individual flat, making them responsible why you are using more water, why you are wasting more water, basically. And very interesting example as a developer, very interesting example. This developer is again from Pune, Royal Orange County. If you are in the area and surrounding area visiting or any, please do go and visit. It's worth visiting as a project. It's got pura video bhi hai YouTube pe. You can go and watch also. Now it is a 207 flats. Any guesses? Anybody? ये जो paint किया है बाहर, ये photograph कब की होगी? Inauguration है 2 दिन, 2 साल, 3 साल, 4 साल, 5 साल. Any guesses? आपके जो बिल्डिंग के बाहर का पेंट होता है कितने साल चलता है? Anyone? Give me a guessing number.
Yeah, 2-3 साल.
2-3 साल, right? So this photograph is taken from after 5 and 2-3 साल बाद भी हालत कैसी होती है हम सबको पता है, basically, right? So this photograph was taken after just not long back. The video was created in 2018 or something. This is 5 years after the occupancy of buildable, and this building has never been painted before that, after the original paints which is there. And very interestingly, what they have done is, हम जो VOC volatile organic compounds in our paints नहीं use होना चाहिए, अच्छी बात है. उसका solution क्या है? We have low energy Asian paints and all they have come in with low bacteria paints and all. Anybody is aware पुराने घर पुराने जो हवेलीज और उसमें paints use करते थे वो कैसे बनते थे? Natural paints होते थे ना, as I remember. इसको बनाते कैसे थे?
Lime tuna is what they use.
Tuna से तो प्लास्टिक होता था, वो भी इन्होंने भी किया है basically. So they have actually gone ahead and used lime plaster in the building. So there is no cement plaster in the building, which helps you in 2 ways again. It's white in color, so you don't have to paint again and again. And secondly, it's cooler because of lime. You don't have to actually use the thermal properties are better in that region because of that. But outside, what they've done was, interestingly, they used the white was again used as a tuna base color was tuna, and the red color was brick जो टूटी बच गई थी उनका crushed powder was made, and that it was mixed with दाल का पानी and चावल का पानी, basically the protein content because of which the paint was initially made. जो लेबर्स के लिए खाना बचता था उसका पानी निकालते थे और उसमें वो चूना मिलाते थे and brick निकालते थे और उससे पेंट होता था, basically. Because of the protein in the water, the organic compounds, and that you will see in the current paints and the previous जो हमारे ancestral homes में paint होता था, पुराना जो paint था वो 5-10 साल internal वाला चलता था, because उसमें VOC कंटेंट ज्यादा होते थे, वो क्योंकि ऑर्गेनिक प्रोटीन से बनता था मिला के. आजकल because of VOC, yes, because VOC is harmful, but there are other ways of doing it also, but we don't go into that details. They have used this for outside coating, and it's still lasting. Now it's 7 years or more of this building being completed.
This is same as. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
So I just wanted very quickly, to ask, this is the same as using for how the the kind of mixes they use for conservation architecture. Is it similar to that?
So yeah, almost similar. So one of the most interesting developers we have seen across the country, he tries to do they try to do very interesting things in their whole campus itself. So many, not just one. There are multiple other things which he has done in the next campus also. They've gone ahead and used a sewage treatment plant which is chemical free and energy less, not energy less, but less energy consuming. It's called the soil bed technology. It's IT patent technology, and it's a vertical treatment plant, plant based. So they have lots of plantation. All the sewage is collected. It's just pumped back up. It cleans up and goes back into a storage tank. That cycle is repeated once or twice, and that's how the water is cleaned, because the sewage water is basically manure for your tree plantation. There's no smell, and it's a developer using this technology, so it will be commercially viable. That's what I'm trying to say. And now most of the airports are also using these technology in the new airports which are coming up. It has a good rainwater harvesting, collection and reuse plan. One of the most interesting one is the last slide of this project that says it has been almost 7 years now. This project is running and up and running. None of the owners, all 207 owners, have paid an energy bill per month of more than 100 to 200 rupees. Interestingly. So what they have done is they have a very interesting, if you see this, ये वाला जो UPS के पास, it has two lights in it, green and red, जो आपके मीटर में भी लगी होती है बहुत बार, but their green and blue is something different. What it does is they have installed solar on top on the roof and some windmills also, and they have allocated 200 units, which is 1 unit per 1 rupees per unit to each flat. Now what happens is they have a red and green light in this. Every month the 200 units are allocated to you, and if you are using that, you are within that 200 units bracket, your green light is momentarily on. The moment you are going above 200 units, it goes and switch into a red light, and now you are aware that you are paying 10 rupees per unit, which is the municipality cost, and now I can go and switch off my ACs if I don't want to. I can control, I can make a choice when I have to close it. हमारे साथ क्या होता है, बिल आता है एक महीने बाद, अरे अच्छा, अरे लास्ट टाइम ना AC ज़्यादा यूज हो गया था, कम कर सकते थे, पता ही नहीं चला, because we don't have that, we have not given that decision making to the users. So small design changes. इन्होंने क्या किया, again say hot water के लिए. Now people who have used these flat plate or these modular systems, the tube plates, solar hot water systems, what happens is the initial 2 or 3 buckets are always cold, so you have to waste the water to get to hot water. So what they have done interestingly is, आपके पास नीचे bathroom में control है, you have a knob at the bottom. You can set how much what is the hotness of water you want in your bathrooms. And now what they have done is, with the hot water line coming in from the solar hot water, they have added a conventional geyser into it also. So if you are taking out the water in the initial 3 or 4 buckets, it will make sure that it heats up and it's sent to you, so that you don't waste that water. The moment you reach the hot water, which is coming on top, which is as per the temperature you have set in, it switches off the conventional heating devices automatically. So it's thoughtful implementation of strategies rather than copy pasting of systems. That's what's important in sustainability. It's not about just copy pasting a system. This is a very good example, and I think so too much of it, we are already above Siari Chilari hogi mere upar ke bahut zyada khich liya. But very quickly, the commercial building, too much of glass. Oh my god, it will be an AC building. No, just to correct you, it's a building in Panchkula. It's a 100% non-AC building. And this is a hot and dry climate Panchkula. So this building has been designed as a big desert cooler. I'll fast track it in ways possible. This is the glass, and this is not north, this is south. As you see in the photograph, you have a direct sun coming into the windows actually. These are called solar chimneys, the concrete boxes where we see. So what happens is this space gets heated, super fast, and you have ventilators on top inside the solar chimneys, so everything gets exhaust outside these chimneys. Now what they do is they do something called misting in the central courtyard every day in the morning. Now what it does is this courtyard becomes cooled automatically. Courtyard पहले भी ठंडा था, misting करके और ठंडा हो गया. So this is positive, that is negative. But we have another problem. We have these corridor walls. So what they have done is, in this corridor walls, at the bottom of these walls, there are interesting jali which are pre-designed. So what it gives is, if you are sitting in my room, if I have this room, and these are my solar chimneys, and that's the corridor wall. I have jalis at the bottom, I have vents at the top, and automatically my cross ventilation starts happening. And that's what keeps the building cool throughout the summer. The eastern western facades are all majorly services, so that heat gain is reduced. Further, if you see the windows, they are opening towards the south, so that there is very less glare, where there is no glare and only usable daylight. So one of the important thing about daylight is, if there is glare, it will not be used as simple as that. And glare will be there if it is a direct sunlight coming onto your window. And that's one which we tend to forget when we are making curtain walls, basically. You might say that इतना सारा पानी कैसे यूज करते हैं, बहुत वेस्टेज करते हैं. It is very interesting to tell you that this is one of the project which we are aware of net positive and net zero, right? So net zero is energy or water, whichever you are, resources, you are producing how much you require, and net positive is you are producing more than what you require. You are not dependent to outside resources. This is one building which is net zero, or in sometimes net positive during rainy seasons, meaning even during rains, जो 3-4 month का monsoon आता है, during rains they do not import a single drop of water even for drinking. Everything is collected and used for domestic flushing and irrigation, even for this cooling as well. What you see is जो आपका condensation भी होता है misting का, you have glaze tiles and everything, so it goes back into the cycle. It's a very interesting example. If you do find time, do go and visit it on the time. So these are the windows which are on the east and west. हम बहुत बार बोलते हैं यार हमें site as an architect, हमें site ऐसी मिलती है, how do I orient? It's not possible. We are not possible. We are the one who is making it not possible, and we are the one who can make it also possible, basically. Last example, Govardhan Eco Village, Mumbai again. And interestingly, Maharashtra has very good examples, and we have seen it. This is an ESCON campus. Any guesses what is the building material? Anyone?
Mud.
So stabilized mud earth basically they have used. And one of the interesting thing about this campus is nothing goes out, nothing comes in, other than we human beings. Everything is from the campus, off the campus, and goes back into the campus, basically. This is there in the Thane region, so it is basically on the valley of Western Ghats. So it receives lots of early monsoon rains, जो आपका westerlies के साथ आती हैं. There's no AC across the campus. It's all mud blocks, so we all know it is how thermally comfortable it is. Interesting thing about the rainwater systems, across India we do rainwater harvesting. It's a mandate thing, but I've not seen many of the projects actually go ahead and actually evaluate it. Soil में पानी कितना जाएगा? When I say soil में पानी कितना जाएगा, there is a specific property of soil which we are looking into. Anybody can guess which property we should look for? Soil में पानी कितना जाएगा when you are doing a rainwater system? What property you should look for within the soil itself? There are generally 3 terms which people get confused to. Should I? Nobody wants to speak? ज़्यादा लोग रह नहीं गए and बाकी लोग भागना चाहते होंगे. So I'll finish off it. So there's something called people test soil for porosity, and there's something called percolation or permeability, basically. Now, generally soil is tested for percolation, porosity itself, because of strength reason and structural requirements. Across India, I have not seen many, very less projects going ahead and testing their percolation rate of soil at their site. And all the projects across India have rainwater harvesting on site. Interestingly, हमें में से किसी को नहीं पता कि पानी कितना जाएगा, पर रेनवाटर हार्वेस्टिंग सब में कॉपी पेस्ट है, एंड वो सिस्टम भी कॉपी पेस्ट है, सीपीडब्ल्यूडी से उठाया हुआ एक सिस्टम है. यू हैव द बोरवेल एंड यू हैव द फिल्टर मीडिया एंड यू हैव द होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी ऑन टॉप, एंड दैट इज कॉपी पेस्टेड अक्रॉस द कंट्री. काम करेगा नहीं करेगा कैसे करेगा, nobody cares. A very interesting example what they have done is they did a hydrogeological study, and Mumbai region has lots of it's a hilly region at the hilly strata at the bottom, so Deccan Plateau. in a Deccan Plateau, it is important to find out fissures where you have huge water percolation rate capacity. So what they have done is they have these two spaces which are holding ponds, which has zero, nil, almost nil recharging capacity, and one place which has been taken, which have been evaluated. It has many fissures and it has a good percolation rate on the site. So it has a huge network of open drain channels and water bodies which is connected. It has all modern facilities. You can book a room and take your family over there if you actually want to live sustainable, if we actually experience sustainable living, what it is basically. Everything on site. So you have biogas, which is the agriculture waste and the food waste which they generate. Solar energy, all the energy is solar, which is being generated. It has solar hot waters, and again, soil biotechnology used for water treatment as such. With that, many interesting case studies are there. These are just handful of which I can explain in 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Sustainability is so interesting topic. You can just keep speaking full day, and it is still less. And some impacts what we have created through Griha. Griha has, interestingly, Shweta didn't have these numbers, but these are there on Griha website also. So Griha has now around 2,200 projects across the country. These are the registered ones, and rated ones are 700. Now certified has different meaning. There's something called pre-certified and certified. Griha doesn't have that. Rated is completed, building and running. Registered is still under process basically. And these are actual numbers of these 700 projects, how much we have tried to achieve. So we have done Griha is one rating which was also recognized internationally. Through rating, we are trying to implement renewable energy also as a mandate in most of the commercial projects, and residential it's an optional clause basically through solar hot water or solar renewable energy. So we have till now installed around 533 megawatts of solar across 700 projects. That has saved this much of energy and this much CO2 reduction. And if this can be extrapolated to this 2,200 projects, that is the impact which we will be able to create. And this is basically in terms of energy itself. And when you go into the water and trees, as we say, so these are the amount of trees preserved, newly planted trees, and these are we go on site visits. Griha Council ourselves goes on minimum 3 site visits of all project and see these things are happening on site. So these numbers are checked. And another thing which Shweta was mentioning, that once the building is complete, nobody goes and checks in. And interestingly, Griha is the only rating system. As we said, as for the Indian process, there's a process that after every 3 years and 4 years, you have to submit your energy bills and water bills and tell us that how sustainably you have kept your building or maintained your building after these many years also. On that, I close the presentation. Sorry for stretching it so long and making it a bit longer. Over to you, T.
I think there was someone with a question. Chandrika had a question.
Yeah, hi. Akashdeep, my question is, it's good that we're going in for, sustainable practices, but what is the difference in the maintenance cost to the user?
So that's why I showed you one example. If you remember,
I have not been able to see the example.
Okay, I'll share the presentation with everybody also.
Sure,
so
sure.
One of the example which I took you through Pune, the Butzville Society. This is the one which I was referring to you. And this is the current practices. This is all RWA. There is no developer, there is no architect as such involved into it. The initial house maintenance was for flat, and this is what we used to. We also pay in a 2 or 3 BHK flat, 5K to 8K, which was there initially when the flat was handed over to them. Currently, this was last year before the pandemic hit. We were there on the site visit, and they have reduced their maintenance cost to 3K to 5K, and they have a target of 2030 to reduce it to 1K. That is the exactly reason why sustainability cannot be costly.
Okay.
You have reduced your artificial lighting consumption because you have integrated daylighting, which is glare free and with proper shading, probably. You have reduced.
Sorry to butt you in. See, the thing is, what I'm talking about is maintenance of the solar systems, maintenance of everything. See, that cost is added in the 2nd or the 3rd year, right? Not in the 1st year, because I too worked with Mahindra Life Spaces, which was basically a GRI sustainable, company. It worked 3 years ago, and we were working on fly ash bricks, etc. But what I understand is your electricity cost, everything comes down. But after that, the 2nd or the 3rd year, the user has to, whoever occupies, the occupant has to pay, an extra maintenance, right?
So
Added into it. So I just wanted to clarify that.
So for that, this is a good example for you. Again, this is this project, Royal County. Again, it's near Pimpri area. In Pimpri area, and if you are visiting any of the Mahindra spaces in that region, do go and visit it. It's 7 years running, and none of the flat owners have paid an energy bill of more than 100 and 200, with the maintenance cost also reduced onto it. What I'm trying to say is, हमारे कंट्री में एक माइंडसेट है कि मैंने सोलर लगा दिया मैं ग्रीन हो गया, मैंने एसटीपी लगा दिया मैं ग्रीन हो गया, and that is where we go wrong in the whole sustainability process. It's a step by step सीढ़ी की तरह है.